An old interview of the Olsen twins on The Oprah Show has left fans disgusted after the girls were asked invasive questions by the talk show host, and it's even worse when you take the context into account. The Olsen twins were Hollywood's darlings in the early 2000s. I mean, they still are. But they have moved from being in front of the camera to exciting behind-the-scenes ventures, and they're mainly in the fashion world now. Some people believe that the reason they switched industries is because the pressure to be perfect was too great. The pair did literally grow up on camera. They starred on Full House together when they were little, and then went on to film like 20 movies, TV shows, music, a magazine. They were booked and busy. Because they are twins and did almost everything together, people often combined their financial gains into one, and together they became essentially billionaires before they turned 21. That was due to all their Hollywood projects, but also because once they were old enough, they took over their businesses and it was worth a lot. Nowadays, they're probably still getting a lot of royalties, but most of their revenue seems to be coming from their various fashion brands. All of this to say, they've grown up comfortably and widely adored, so one would think that they were having a great time. Not necessarily the case. They grew up in the public eye, so their every move was watched. Growing pains were on full display, and people loved to comment on them and their bodies, and at such an impressionable age, with so many people talking about their physical appearance like it was their God-given right, it took a toll on the woman. One of those people that considered the twins' weight a topic of conversation was none other than Oprah Winfrey. It's 2004, and the twins are almost 18. They're sitting down for an interview with Oprah. The interview covers a lot, but one section really stuck out. Oprah brings up a recent rumor that had been circulating about Mary-Kate, that she was struggling with an eating disorder. Yeah, Oprah pretty much asked about it outright. She said, "I know a new rumor recently surfaced that has really upset you, right?" The girls didn't answer right away, so Oprah continued, "You know, the one about eating." Again, Mary-Kate was struggling with this at the time, and Oprah's like, "What if we got into it on national television? Let's talk about it." That in of itself is pretty problematic, especially considering their age, but it somehow got worse. The girls kind of try to respond, but not give too many personal details away, saying that people are going to write what they're gonna write, and that they just try not to read any of it, good or bad. Ashley remarked about the pressures to look a certain way, and yet nothing you do ever being good enough, you're always too something. However, mid-answer, Oprah interjected to outright ask what size the twins were. Ashley did look pretty surprised by the question, and the pair tried to kind of laugh it off and didn't end up actually responding with an actual size, instead opting to say that they were short and petite. Oprah's response to this was, "That's so interesting," following up with, "I'm obsessed with size," and you're like, I really don't know. I kind of get what she was going for with that statement, but also not really, so don't ask me to explain. What I do understand is that the twins looked pretty uncomfortable with the questions, especially compared to the reactions to other topics from the interview, like their college dreams and how to tell the two apart. As the topic kind of came to a close, Mary-Kate said, "If we were obsessed with our size, it'd be, I don't know, a different story." People nowadays aren't just upset with Oprah though, but also the audience, because they laughed frequently during the conversation. And sure, we do exist in a very different time today, but even back then, a grown woman that has been very public with her weight loss journey, that decided to address problematic rumors about young stars, not just their weight but potential eating disorders, and also asking what size they were exactly, it feels weird, and people are unhappy. People are especially upset with Oprah Winfrey for asking Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen about their weight on the talk show, not just because the question was unnecessary for anyone, but especially young people. The twins were uncomfortable, and Mary-Kate was dealing with some personal matters related to weight behind the scenes, but also because Oprah's built an entire empire on the topic of weight. She was an investor in Weight Watchers and a spokesperson until 2024. Per the Daily Mail, she left the position due to her use of Ozempic and other weight loss medicines. I mean, lots of celebrities have admitted to using these things, so why was it a problem specifically for Oprah? Well, previously she had said that she didn't want to use things like that because they were the easy way out. At a panel hosted in 2023, Oprah talked about how important it is to be accepting of whatever body you choose to be in. She also discussed how she no longer feels ashamed of using the medicines and instead uses it as a tool in her weight loss journey, same as physical activity or diets. People are just kind of upset that someone that has been very vocal about their struggles with weight would put another person, then rumored to also be struggling with their weight, on the spot and then ask them to talk about their own experience on national TV. After their appearance on The Oprah Show, in which they were directly asked about Mary-Kate's then rumored eating disorder, Mary-Kate actually did end up in rehab in the summer. The reason why? for treatment for anorexia was revealed later on. I'm sure Oprah's comments on her show weren't the only reason for the actress going, though they probably just didn't help. The topic of the twins' weight was being discussed by many different people and celebrity gossip publications. There were articles upon articles about how thin the girls were and how worried people were. There was even one magazine that I found that had a detailed breakdown of the food that they would eat in a day, down to a split mini muffin and cubes of beef. It was quite literally the strangest thing I've ever seen. Though the pair have definitely been through it when it comes to media attention, they acknowledge how grateful they are for their opportunities and the fact that they were able to make it out with minimal damage. I mean, going to rehab is not great, that's not what I'm saying, but they had spoken in interviews before disappearing about how they were grateful that they never reached the point of like a public breakdown. For the most part, they did deal with personal matters in private. One of the sisters in particular referenced Britney Spears' well-known breakdown and how she was glad that she never experienced public pressure to that point. The twins have adopted a private lifestyle in every sense of the word. It extends even into their fashion lines. When their brand, The Row, first started taking off, at first the women were hesitant about being the faces for it. They even briefly considered not letting people know that they were behind the luxury brand and instead getting a different figurehead. The clothes, they are also pretty discreet when it comes to their branding. The sisters have said that they don't even like putting things in the windows at their shops. Last year in March for Paris Fashion Week, as they debuted their new The Row collection, they encouraged guests not to take any photos or videos at all. It maintains privacy, sure, but it also just makes everything seem even more exclusive for their designer label. Paris also happens to be the latest city that their stores have expanded to. Even though the pair were doing fine for their age, they were always too much of something for the people to be happy with their appearance. Plus, the 2000s were a time when not being a size 2 or under was like committing a deadly sin in Hollywood. I don't know what size the twins really were, I do not care. However, it is really sad that they had to go through having a bunch of adults making unsolicited comments about their bodies while they were growing up. It clearly took a toll considering Mary-Kate ended up struggling with anorexia. Mary-Kate spent the 6 weeks in rehab before being released before the summer was over. At the time, the twins and their publicist had said that the girls understood that the public wanting every little detail about their personal lives and how they lived their life was expected to come with the territory, but it doesn't make the comments any better though. The Olsen twins have since kind of departed Hollywood. I mean, like, not completely. Their sister, Elizabeth Olsen, is definitely taking up the acting torch, and the twins have actually shifted gears into a totally different art form, which is fashion. And they're doing a great job, still making public appearances, but definitely staying out of the spotlight in comparison to what they used to do. They now run a few different brands. They always had an interest in the fashion industry, even before they could legally head a company. They were the faces for various businesses. They had a clothing line for girls in Walmart that was wildly successful, and then when they were older, they started a few more brands like The Row, Elizabeth and James, Olsen Boy, and Stylement. They've won awards in the field and generally received praise on social media for their clothing and personal style.
If you thought you knew Oprah, think again. Some of her darkest secrets were revealed and the truth will shock you. Oprah has been the center of conversations for years around shady business deals, her true intentions when it comes to fame, power, and controversies about her weight loss practices, relationships with other celebrities, and even her stance on Scientology. She's no stranger to the limelight, and when it comes to secrets, she has far too many, so let's talk about it. I will admit she has quite a story. Her life's journey, while questionable, is still a testament to resilience and determination. Oprah's childhood for the longest time was kept under wraps. She honestly thought that if secrets from her upbringing came to light, that people wouldn't like or respect her and it would ruin her image. Essentially, and maybe rightfully so, she assumed the media would eat it up and spin her story to highlight only the negative. Her childhood was marked by unimaginable trauma. Aside from her father being absent, her teenage mother also left her to be raised by her grandmother, who, by the way, was not very nice to her. She would physically and verbally attack Oprah, and one time on the Dr. Oz show, Oprah discussed some horrifying memories she has growing up and the pain she endured. But despite all of that, Oprah said her grandmother, at the end of the day, did the best she could. She actually told Dr. Oz she doesn't have that same pain today, but suffered many years with PTSD, depression, and anxiety. And at the time, as a kid, she just thought that all of it was normal and said, and I quote, "I knew that children were to be seen and not heard." Oprah said it wasn't until 1988 when she was watching a program on TV that discussed the body's reaction to trauma, where it clicked to her that she's having so many sleepless nights because she was so neglected as a kid and left alone for so many hours of the day and night that it instilled a fear in her that would take years to release. Oprah's biggest bombshell secret that came out that she absolutely did not want anyone to know about is that she actually carried and gave birth to a baby boy at the age of 14. Sadly, the baby passed away shortly after birth due to complications.
When I was 14 years old, I became pregnant, hid the pregnancy until the baby was born.
But this moment had like a very profound impact on Oprah's life and emotional well-being. She even told Dr. Oz that her father, who slightly re-entered her life at that point, said to her, "This is your second chance now to make something of yourself." Those words stuck with Oprah, and she recalled thinking, "Now that I know better, I can do better." And it would seem as though she carried that sentiment for the next few decades, but does she still practice that now? It seems those words to live by have gotten lost recently when it comes to her choices, and despite Oprah wanting to keep all of those secrets from the public, she would actually face a public battle in 2011. Oprah's very public battle with depression and anxiety back in 2011 was a significant moment in her career. After 25 years of hosting her iconic talk show, she announced that she would be ending the show to focus on herself. The real secret she didn't want you to know is that ratings had dropped drastically. The show was not doing nearly as well as it used to, and the pressure of maintaining it took such a mental toll on her. Now, despite being scared of becoming irrelevant and canceling her hit show that had gone on for decades, Oprah would then go forward with launching her own network named OWN. Which I think it just dawned on me that it stands for the Oprah Winfrey Network. Am I the only one who's like here? Don't laugh at me. Now, this network would go on to become super successful and is to this day still on the air. Another big secret Oprah tried to keep from the public from knowing is her personal struggles with weight. Yes, she has been pretty open about her lifelong struggle with weight and body image, but has she always been truthful? That is the better question, because going back to as early as 1997, Oprah faced criticism for promoting fat-burning pills on her show, which some experts argued were ineffective and potentially harmful. Fast forward to 2005, Oprah again faced backlash for endorsing Jenny Craig's weight loss program, with some critics arguing that the program promotes unhealthy eating habits and unrealistic weight loss goals. 2 years later, in 2007, she faced criticism again for promoting quick fix diets and weight loss solutions on her show, which some experts argued were simply unsustainable and unhealthy. And if all of that wasn't enough, she faced extreme criticism in 2011 for hosting a weight loss competition on her show, which critics argued it promoted unhealthy competition and body shaming. And honestly, I just feel like with that one, girl, you should have known better. Like, she has gone on and on about how often she's been body shamed. It's like the bully became the bully. I honestly don't know in what world she thought that was a good idea. I'm not done though, because in 2015, we have the Weight Watchers controversy. Oprah literally became a spokesperson for Weight Watchers, promoting their program and even investing in the company. However, some critics accused her of actually promoting restrictive dieting and unrealistic weight loss expectations. Now, in very recent times, Oprah has opened up and admitted to using weight loss medication as a quote-unquote maintenance tool to manage her weight. She revealed in an interview with People that she uses the medication in conjunction with exercise, drinking a gallon of water a day, and eating all meals by 4 p.m., which could also just be intermittent fasting if we're being honest here. But she said she had a turning point where she realized she has been blaming herself for being overweight despite having a predisposition that made it difficult to control her weight. After consulting her doctor, she was prescribed the medication that she now uses to maintain a healthy weight.
I took on the shame for 25 years, making fun of my weight.
And while she didn't actually disclose the specific medication she's taking, many fans have speculated that it's the ever-famous, ever-trending celebrity quick fix medication that starts with an O and ends with pick. Please don't make me sing the jingle. Knowing she has ties to Weight Watchers still, it's safe to say she likely can't really discuss too much about what she's talking about, but like, with all the half-truths we have gotten from her lately, would we believe her anyway? Please allow me just another minute of your time because I almost forgot to talk about the lawsuit back in 1997 that Oprah faced. This one, although public knowledge, feels like a big dirty secret because, well, if you're like me, this is the first time you've heard of it. So back in April of 97, during an episode on her show titled Dangerous Food, Oprah made comments on mad cow disease while discussing the risks of mad cow disease transmission through contaminated beef. Her comment was, and I quote, "It has just stopped me cold from eating another burger." The segment was widely viewed as contributing to a drop in cattle prices, and cattlemen in Texas sued Oprah for defamation in the amount of a whopping $10.3 million. The cattlemen claimed that the show's negative portrayal of their business caused a steep decline in beef prices. Winfrey won the case, but the cattlemen appealed the verdict. The U.S. Court of Appeals in New Orleans ruled that Winfrey did not knowingly and falsely depict American beef as unsafe. Oprah, once acquitted, said in a post-verdict interview, "Free speech not only lives, it rocks."
I would say, Oprah Winfrey, you know what you need to do and stop hiding behind what you call was negative comments, what you call, oh, I don't even deal with things like that.
So we've eliminated that word disadvantage because disadvantage allows other people to look at you like you have some kind of disease.
And,
That's so interesting.
We can prepare for giving, and that is meditation. So how about we meditate on this?
Oprah Winfrey is a walking red flag, and it's something that we need to talk about. So once upon a time, Oprah found herself in a position she had never been in before that. She had to apologize for her audience. She said, "Oh, I regret that phone call. This was a live taping." And what was she referring to? Her phone into Larry King, when she expressed her absolute love for James Frey, an author who wrote this book. It was this mega selling memoir, 1,000,000 Little Pieces, and it turns out it was all fake. Yeah, nobody liked this. She said, "I left the impression that the truth does not matter. To everyone who has challenged me about this book, you are absolutely right." And hey, in theory, good for Oprah, right? Admitting to being wrong. She's counseled many people on her show many times. It's not an easy thing to do. It's part of Oprah's brand. And when I talk about this book being fake, being a scandal, there was reports in the New York Times, this was bad. People were coming for Oprah, so she had to do this live apology. So besides the initial investigation showing that the author had lied about the time he had spent in jail, all these various runs-in with the law, there was people at the rehab center that he attended that were like, yeah, no, the portrait of his life here, fake, fake, fake. So people were saying, Oprah, apologize. Why did you have this fraud on your show? What's going on? And hey, everybody who wanted the apology, they got it. But in a way that had people waving red flags about her behavior. So as Oprah really went in on Frey over various moments in his memoir that had either been proven false or remained dubious, you almost couldn't help feeling a little bit sorry for the man. Now let me explain before you get your pitchforks in the comment section. I get it, instant gratification. Let me get to it. So as the audience clapped when Oprah would spit out zinger after zinger saying, "It's a lie, I think you presented as a false person," it was hard to avoid thinking that this author was being put on display not to set the record straight, but for a public punishing. Dare I say almost a witch trial of sorts. Now more than once Oprah emphasized that this experience was embarrassing for her, and her revenge was shaming him in front of a live studio audience. And at the time, it was shocking, because everybody was like, who knew that Oprah was an eye for an eye kind of lady? Throughout all of that time, Oprah had blamed the author's publisher for mislabeling the book, insisting that it should have been called a novel based on a true story instead of a memoir. Now, rumors have swirled around alleging that Doubleday, the publisher, or the direct woman in charge of publishing, Nan Talese herself, actually took what had been a novel and rechristened it a memoir, hoping for the kinds of sales only afforded to true stories. So Oprah brought the publisher on, Talese, to prod her about it. She asked whether there weren't red flags in 1,000,000 Little Pieces that should have led Doubleday to investigate whether the story was true. Like at the very bare minimum, the publishing company at the very least should have required the author to include an editor's note, making clear that he had altered events and changed many characteristics of everything in his memoir. But here's a question. So if Oprah could see at that point in time that outrageous events were red flags that the publisher should have made a note of, why didn't she pause there too before choosing this book for her book club and calling it the greatest thing, the most tragic thing, praising it, promoting it. Oprah did her very best to play wounded, claiming that she felt duped and conned by James Frey. She said, "The book is so fantastical." Well, then why did Oprah take it at face value and sell it to all of her followers at the beginning? So there's two possibilities here, folks. She's either somebody who was conned very easily, or she just wanted the ratings from the controversy. After all publicity is good publicity. Oh, I almost forgot, by the way. So that confrontation I've been talking about in detail, it's been completely scrubbed from the internet. I don't know, seems a little sus. So back in 2007, Oprah had Jenny McCarthy on her show to promote some book she wrote. It was like some very stupid book about her son's autism. And now look, I never went to med school, but I do have Google, and according to CDC statistics, more than 3.5 million Americans have an autism spectrum disorder, for which scientists have yet to identify a cause, other than just knowing like genetics and a lot of other things. But Jenny McCarthy, who also didn't go to med school as far as I'm aware, announced very matter-of-factly that her son's autism was caused by MMR. Now, this was something that had eradicated all sorts of things, mumps, rubella, and worse, in the United States. And if you didn't already know that, it's probably because society hadn't had to worry about those diseases for decades. Mumps and rubella aren't as serious, but measles did not mess around in its glory days. It took the lives of thousands of people a year, and the total number of cases had dropped to less than 200 annually, until Jenny McCarthy and Oprah talked about all this on their show. And what happened? A spike in measles cases. 2014, which is only 10 years ago, had a record 644 cases. Now, was that merely a coincidence? I don't know, folks. You take the information available and decide for yourself. I've said my piece. So thanks to Oprah's weakness for theories that veer towards the decidedly questionable, her legacy has been called into question, and by more people than just me. So sure, on one hand she did endorse a lot of credible things in her heyday. She endorsed Barack Obama. She endorsed John Steinbeck's East of Eden, which became a bestseller after being featured on her show, which was 51 years after it was published. Because if I haven't established already how much power this woman had in her heyday before now, you should understand that. But then we get to the other pillar. We have Oprah to blame for Dr. Oz, the Turkish-American heart surgeon who first appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show in 2004 and quickly became, along with Dr. Phil and Rachel Ray, part of Oprah's team of experts who regularly appeared on her show and got their own spin-offs. So Dr. Oz dispenses with the facts he doesn't find convenient. He manifests an egregious lack of integrity by promoting quack treatments and cures in the interest of personal financial gain. He's more like a Kardashian than a surgeon. And that's according to a lot of his critics who are in like doctoral fields. And they argue that his endorsements under a medical banner of certain remedies, ranging from the pseudoscientific to the downright kooky, are immoral. They've argued that the Dr. Oz show was not a medical show. They were going so far as saying that you'd be better off taking medical advice from Dr. Pepper. And now, recently, the man has been promoted to lead Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Now, I can't use the same language with y'all that I used when I called my dad the other night when this news dropped, but let's just say it wasn't internet friendly. Alright, you get a car, and you get criticized for a lavish lifestyle. Controversial radio host Howard Stern accused Oprah Winfrey of showing off her wealth on social media. Now, he said, and I quote, "Oprah's not embarrassed by her wealth at all." This was a recent radio show episode. He mentioned that she loves showing it off on social media. He said, "It's effing mind-blowing when you follow her on Instagram. You see her estates, plural, her gardens, the people who service her, and and then his co-host Robin interjected like, "Service her? She's not a car." And then Howard Stern was like, "Well, she kind of is. She's got servants and she's got people and cooking for her, and it's effing wild." Now, according to Forbes, Oprah has a net worth of $2.5 billion, which is a combination of her talk show success, all of her TV shows, her brand ambassadorships, everything she's ever produced. Like, the Oprah Winfrey Network is a network. Now, Howard Stern went on to say that Oprah knows how to be rich, likes to show it off, which was something he's just not comfortable with. He doesn't think that people should really show off their wealth. Now, his co-host disagreed, was like, "Oprah's just giving fans a peek inside of her life using social media." He said she's not showing off. But then Howard Stern was like, "Well, you gotta be a little self-aware and know that there are people struggling out there. You gotta think about the kind of people who don't have anything to eat." You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta be a little bit aware of this. So when Oprah interviewed Cindy Crawford, an elite Model Management founder John Casablancas back in 1986, she had Cindy Crawford stand up so the audience could see her body. Now, reflecting on the encounter some 30 years later, Cindy Crawford mentioned, like, I was something to be seen and not heard. And when you look at it through today's eyes, Oprah's like, stand up and show me your body. Show us you're worthy of being here. Now, in the moment, Cindy Crawford didn't recognize it, but watching it back, she was horrified. She was like, oh my gosh, that was not okay, especially from Oprah.
You're cordially invited to celebrate the birth of Sean Puffy Coat.
They are saying that Oprah Winfrey and Diddy, they go way back. They are very close friends, and they are even saying that she has something to do with the Diddy parties.
You are cordially invited to celebrate the birth of P. Diddy. Sean P. Diddy Puff Pastry Combs.
My birthday, I'm happy. Thanks to y'all giving me this call. Thank you very much. I love y'all.
Love you more too. Can't wait to see you in a couple of days.
HR Puffin stuff. Sean P. Puffy food.
But it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle off of the frosted flakes because
Puff the Magic Dragon. Puff Daddy.
Puffy is currently facing some serious allegations that have tarnished the reputation that he built in the music industry. He once had this close-knit circle of celebrity friends, and now they're kind of distancing themselves in the wake of these serious allegations. Now, has anybody else seen the leaked VHS tape? It was probably, I believe, an invitation to Puffy's 29th birthday party back in 1998, when I was like, And it's raised some eyebrows. Known for his love of partying, Puff Daddy has never shied away from going out and about while hosting such events, although, some, if not all, of his current legal troubles kind of stem from those gatherings. But the VHS tape, it's a 6-minute long video that serves as a time capsule from the peak of the bad boy era, and as kind of a reminder of how far Puff Daddy has slipped from society amid everything going on. And yes, Oprah's in it. That's why we're talking about it today. So this tape was delivered to the hands of the most powerful and glamorous players in Los Angeles and New York in a black velvet pouch with the birthday gala, November 4th, 1998, written on it in white script. And like I said before, it's got Oprah, it's got Ellen DeGeneres, it's got Chris Rock, it's got Mariah Carey, it's got the next president, it's got Magic Johnson, Will Smith, Ben Stiller, Joan Rivers, Steven Tyler, Joe Perry, Tommy Hilfiger, Ronald Perlman, Penny Marshall, Stephen Baldwin, and so many others, taking turns to hype up the bash, encouraging the recipients to RSVP and goof off for the camera. So it begins with a strange home video style skit where Danny DeVito is lying on a sofa under a blanket, saying, "That's right, Puff Daddy's having a party and this is Puff Daddy inviting you to come. Let's have a ball." Danny DeVito, are you okay? Let me know. Then the absolute cavalcade of A-listers take turns reading from a script. And yeah, it's a script, detailing the date and time, exactly how fabulous and expensive the affair is going to be, and then the address to RSVP to. And the venue, which by the way, it was the Cipriani Wall Street, would be revealed later. But now that it's been 20-something years, we know where it was. One person refers to the I'll Be Missing You rapper as the legendary Puff Daddy, and then we've got Rock and DeGeneres teasing him for his many names, because, you know, he's got them as long as my arm. And a lot of folks make fun of their own unease with hip-hop slang. One source who attended the bash said that they'd forgotten how much was made of the party in the press, and they really think that bigger celebs and moguls were fascinated by the chutzpah of this 29-year-old. Look, at the time, the bash cost like $600,000, and 1,600 people were on the list for the invites, which is bonkers for a party? Eee! As well as those in the video, Henry Winkler, Aaron Lauder, Mike Tyson, Minnie Driver, Mark Wahlberg, Lenny Kravitz, Kevin Costner, Sarah Ferguson, Martha Stewart, Jay-Z, and Naomi Campbell were also on the scene. Folks have compared this to Truman Capote's black and white ball at the Plaza, and even though that party was like for la crème de la crème of society, Puff Daddy was celebrating the kind of high-profile commercial success and notoriety that knows no racial class or bounds. So folks are comparing it like old money versus new money. The Capote ball, old money. Puff Daddy ball, new money. So during an intimate discussion with Oprah, peeling away the layers of his complex life, Puffy kind of made folks curious by avoiding details about the origin of the Puff Daddy moniker. The conversation, which was for Oprah's O magazine, it was casual at the beginning. Like Oprah was like, how'd you get the name? And he said, it's a nickname somebody gave me. And then Oprah, being Oprah, was like, okay, well, I would like to know more. And then he was like, no. He's like, I've never told anyone that. And I know you get people to tell you everything, Oprah, but I can't look you in the eye and explain that one. He said, no more Puff Daddy. First week in June, we're gonna have a name change ceremony. Now, he confessed that part to MTV back in 2001, and that's when he said, I'm rocking with the whole P, that name now. And that's when he said Biggie gave him that name, which was after crimes committed by Puffy that I can't talk about on here without sounding like a cartoon character, but I'm sure you can find them. And I find it highly suspicious that Biggie gave him that name. If we're gonna go back to Oprah for a moment, her name, that's been interlaced with a lot of criminals. We're talking Harvey W., Puff Daddy, Jeffrey E. I can't say their last names. Harvey was a close friend of Oprah's for many years, and he used that friendship to gain the trust of his victims. Actress Katie Noble claimed that Harvey used Oprah into going back with him to his hotel room. However, once Harvey's crimes became public knowledge, Oprah distanced herself from the situation without directly addressing her relationship with him. Oprah said, if we make this just about Harvey, then we have lost this moment. That statement was an attempt to shift the focus from Harvey's crimes and victim stories to a bigger picture, because Oprah was desperate to paint herself as a hero. But not everybody was convinced. Oprah's former friend Seal took to Instagram to call her out for suspicious behavior, saying, you have been part of the problem for decades, but suddenly they all think you're the solution. I forgot, that's right. You'd heard the rumors, but you had no idea he was actually serial harming young starry-eyed actresses. And that post was accompanied with a photo of Oprah kissing Harvey on the cheek. Now, Harvey is one of only many awful men tied to Oprah's brand. She's attended those big parties, and I'm forgetting something. She's featured 5 times in the files from Jeffrey's trial. I can't talk more about the trial for reasons, but come on. Another issue that follows Oprah wherever she goes is the controversy of her school in South Africa, the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls. It was built as a safe haven for disadvantaged girls, but it has proven to be kind of anything but that. Multiple students accused a dormitory matron, Virginia Makopo, of harm, and she was arrested in November of 2007 and then released on bail. News outlets claim that she faced 14 charges involving indecent acts with students. So after that trial, Oprah was sued by the headmistress of the school, Lerato Nyomvo Mzame, for defamation, which is kind of bad for you to be sued by your own headmistress. Mzame alleged that Oprah defamed her by implying that the headmaster was covering up the awfulness going on at the school. Granted, that case was settled out of court before the arranged trial, at least according to news outlets. But, sorry folks, the controversy does not end there. Speculation about numerous missing girls from the academy has spread like wildfire across social media. But the validity of these statements has not been confirmed or denied. Oprah and her team have been silent on the matter, and it seems like any articles raising concern over the situation are scrubbed from the internet. When was the last time you heard about Oprah's school after she had that big grand opening? A fair share of scandals have been attached to Oprah over the years, yet media coverage criticizing her for all these instances somehow always disappears. And Oprah's name is constantly tied to a bazillion crimes, whether it's due to her relationships or the instances with the school. But the only sources talking about this are concerned consumers on social media and small newspapers. Not a lot of major outlets have discussed Oprah's suspicious behavior. Instead, they continue to praise her. And yet, she doesn't deny anything. Selective media coverage plays a large role in maintaining her image. Power is used as a scare tactic to prevent reporters from bringing these topics to light. And look, Oprah's not innocent. Thanks to her weakness for theories that veer towards the decidedly out there, her legacy is tarnished, at least in my eyes. Okay, sure, we'll give her a point today. She did endorse a lot of credible things. Barack Obama, John Steinbeck's East of Eden, became a bestseller after she featured it. I think it was 51 years after it was originally published. But then on the other hand, let's talk about some bad things, okay? So we have her to blame for Jenny McCarthy spewing her opinions. The opinion that vaccinations cause autism. She said that on the Oprah Winfrey Show back in 2007 and has been repeatedly cited as a factor in the return of many diseases such as whooping cough, and in the US, mostly in the US. Let's talk about Dr. Oz, the Turkish-American heart surgeon who first appeared on Oprah back in 2004 and quickly became part of Oprah's team of experts. Well, he dispenses with facts he doesn't find convenient. He manifests an egregious lack of integrity. Why? Well, he promotes quack treatments and cures in the interest of personal financial gain. He's more like an influencer than an actual doctor these days. And that's coming from a lot of colleagues who are like, yeah, no, his endorsements are immoral.
So freaking mean to me. You're so revealing. You just tell everything.
Because had Oprah Winfrey said, I'm gonna have your mother, I would have said, shut it down.
Oprah wanted to exploit her for views. Monique wasn't having it. She said, I'm not doing that.
Well, because I was trying to calmly leave and not cause a thing. No apologies necessary. I feel that a lot of things are on the line. A lot of things are at stake. So when I was making $22,000 a year, people always needed $50.
Over the years, a number of interviews have really shown us the cracks in Oprah's carefully curated facade. It is thanks to folks like Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, Howard Stern, Cindy Crawford, and so many more that we can really glimpse into the darkness behind the mogul. So Oprah came under fire back in 2021 for a 2004 interview on her show, The Oprah Winfrey Show, where she asked Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, who were the height of teeny bopper fashion, what clothing size they were. Now, at the time of the interview, rumors had been circulating that Mary-Kate was suffering from an eating disorder. And later that year, the actress turned fashion designer did spend time in a rehab facility to receive treatment for a health-related issue. So Oprah said, "I know a new rumor that's recently surfaced that has you really upset, right? You know, the one about eating." And now Ashley quickly jumped in to protect her sister, saying, "Yeah, you know, people are gonna write what they're gonna write. We try not to read the good or the bad because it just comes with the territory. Either you're too fat, too skinny, and people are just gonna write what they're..." And she was cut off by Oprah because Oprah wanted her little soundbite. Oprah was like, "Well, what size are you, by the way?" Now, you could very much see Mary-Kate and Ashley feel very uncomfortable, and Ashley tried deflecting, being like, size? Like, oh, we're both like petite. And then Oprah is not having it and being like, "Oh, that's so interesting," saying it like it's an inside joke with her in the audience. She's like, "I'm obsessed with size," and you're like, "I don't know." And thankfully at this point, like, poor Mary-Kate piped up and was like, "But you know, like, I really don't know. Like, if we were obsessed with our size, it'd be like a different story." Honestly, watching that entire video just left me feeling so icky, because it's like, who cares what size they are? Let them be. You get a car, and you get criticized for a lavish lifestyle. Controversial radio host Howard Stern accused Oprah Winfrey of showing off her wealth on social media. So he said, "Oprah's not embarrassed by her wealth at all." I think this was like a recent radio show excerpt, and he added, "She loves showing it off. It's effing mind-blowing. When you follow her on Instagram, you see her estates, her gardens, the people who service her, and you know." And his co-host interjected, "Service her? She's not a car." And then Stern's like, "Well, she kind of is. She's got servants and like people cooking, and it's effing wild." Look, folks, according to my sources, Oprah's got a net worth of $2.5 billion, which is a combination of her talk show success, her TV shows, and her brand ambassadorship stuff. So like, she's made herself. Stern continued saying the famed talk show host knows how to be rich and likes to show it off, which is something I'm not comfortable with. He's like, "I don't think that people should show off their wealth." Now, his co-host once again interjected and disagreed, arguing that she's just giving fans a peek inside her life using social media, which is what public figures do. He literally said, "Oprah's just showing you her life. She's not showing off." And then Howard Stern fired back, saying that Oprah's lacking self-awareness. Well, you gotta be a little self-aware and know that there are people struggling out there. You gotta think about people who don't have anything to eat. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on, you gotta be a little aware of this. Like, folks, why do we follow anybody on social media? Because we like them, we aspire to be them. You should be considerate, yes, of others, but like, you can flaunt your life. So, speaking of out of touch, Oprah Winfrey's normal people skills were called into question back in 2006 following a cooking segment on The Oprah Winfrey Show. So she had invited Anna Ginsburg onto the set after Anna scooped a colossal $1 million for winning a national culinary contest. Unfortunately, the dish that helped her earn the prize didn't seem to appeal to Oprah's taste. So Ginsburg was like, "Oh, do you like it? Like, I hope so." This was a chicken and spinach stuffing meal that she'd created. And although Oprah insisted that she did like it, her face told a very different story. And then the situation got even more awkward when Oprah was like, "Did we add salt and pepper? I think we needed salt and pepper." So after the offending clip went viral a couple years later, Oprah decided to issue a defense of her MasterChef smackdown on Oprah Daily, saying, "Here's the deal. This is what I was thinking. I always wanted anybody who came onto the show, no matter what they did, to have a good experience. And I also wanted to stay in my own truth while also allowing them to have a good experience. Because the truth for me was that I'm used to having salt and pepper on my chicken. That's just the truth. I don't know about you, but I don't think I'd be making a boo-boo face on live television if I just didn't like something that minuscule." When Oprah interviewed Cindy Crawford and Elite Model Management founder John Casablancas back in 1986, she had the model stand up so the audience could see her body. Now, reflecting on the encounter about like 37 years later, Cindy Crawford was like, "I was just something to be seen and not heard." And when you look at it through today's eyes, Oprah's like, "Stand up and show me your body. Show us why you're worthy of being here." Now, in the moment, Cindy Crawford didn't recognize it, and watching it back, she was like, "Oh my gosh. That was so not okay, really, especially from Oprah." You don't know why? Don't worry, folks, we'll get into it in a minute. So when Robin Williams and Nathan Lane did a joint interview to promote the Birdcage back in 1996, Oprah brought up potential rumors about Nathan's sexuality since he played an openly queer character in the film, and at the time he wasn't ready to discuss his sexuality publicly, so Robin quickly changed the topic by making a joke. Well, fast forward to 2023, and Nathan has mentioned that he doesn't think Oprah was trying to out him, but he did say to Robin beforehand that he wasn't prepared, he was very scared of going out there and talking to Oprah, he was not prepared to discuss being gay on national television, he wasn't ready, and then and Robin was like, oh, it's all right, don't worry about it, we don't have to talk about it, we won't talk about it. Well, obviously Oprah was like, let's do it. So apparently, according to Nathan, Robin swooped in, diverted Oprah, and went off on a tangent and protected him because he was a saint, and just went on and on to praise Robin, who I've never heard a bad thing about. Back in March of 2010, Monique won the Best Supporting Actress Academy Award for her performance in Precious. And then after that, everybody's like, okay, what did she do? Well, apparently she claimed she was blackballed in the entertainment industry at the hands of a lot of powerful people, one of them being Oprah Winfrey. So Oprah decided, so Monique won this Academy Award, right? And just a couple days later, Oprah decided to have Monique's family on the show, which sounds really great, right? Sounds cute, like, oh, supportive family. Not so much. Monique was not talking to her family at the time, especially not her older brother, who apparently harmed Monique when they were growing up. Now, this was the first time her brother had admitted his crimes and confessed to being a victim of the same actions by other family members, but that doesn't make it okay. Like, folks online were like, yo, Oprah needs to answer for this because it doesn't make sense and it looks bad for Oprah. Somebody else was like, Oprah definitely seems like she has a mean, cold side. Like, I just wonder why she was so mean in this situation. Monique herself said Oprah crossed her on many different levels by doing this. And like, she tried to reach out to have a private conversation, but her efforts to communicate with Oprah didn't happen. Well, fast forward, I think about 3 years, Monique and Oprah are at a celebration party for Lupita Nyong'o in honor of her Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. So Monique said, and I quote, Oprah Winfrey was sitting on my right, and then I turned to her and said, now I need to talk to you. And apparently it got real quiet. Could hear a pin drop. Monique said, since you didn't want to return my calls for whatever reason, I'm going to say this right here. She asked Oprah, like, why did you invite my family on the show, knowing that our relationship was pretty severed at the time? But Oprah, in true Oprah fashion, was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea the entire family was gonna show up. And she said, like, oh, I didn't know anything about that. If I did anything to offend you, I apologize. Sure, we're gonna pretend this wasn't a calculated move by the queen of daytime TV. Back in 2007, Oprah had actress Jenny McCarthy on her show to promote some stupid book she wrote about her son's autism. Now, I never went to med school, but I do have Google, and according to CDC statistics, more than 3.5 million Americans have an autism spectrum disorder for which scientists have yet to identify a definite cause. But Jenny McCarthy announced very matter-of-factly that her son's autism was caused by vaccinations, specifically the MMR vaccine. Now, this had nearly eradicated measles, mumps, and rubella in the States at the time. And if you didn't already know that, it's probably because society at the time didn't have to worry about those diseases for decades. If you don't know, measles did not mess around in its glory days. It took the lives of thousands of people a year. The number of total cases had dropped to less than 200 annually until these two folks decided to discredit science. After that, there was a gradual spike in cases. Back in 2014, there was a record 23 outbreaks and over 600 cases.
That's so interesting. We can prepare for giving, and that is meditation. So how about we meditate on this?
I would say, Oprah Winfrey, you know what you need to do, and stop hiding behind what you call was negative comments, what you call, oh, I don't even deal with things like that.
So we've eliminated that word disadvantage, because disadvantaged allows other people to look at you like you have some kind of disease.
Following her milestone 70th birthday on January 29th, Oprah Winfrey has remained a constant presence in the headlines. From her controversial weight loss methods to her departure from the Weight Watchers board after a decade, and her support for weight loss drugs like Ozempic, the self-made billionaire continues to captivate public attention. But beyond these well-known stories, there are lesser-known controversies that have surrounded her illustrious career. Starting off today, we are talking about her rise to fame and some of the early controversies. Imagine being just 17 years old and stepping into the fast-paced world of media. That was Oprah Winfrey. Hailing from humble beginnings, she landed a part-time gig at a local radio station while still in high school. Her charisma and talent didn't go unnoticed. Soon enough, she broke barriers by becoming the first black female news anchor at WLAC-TV in Nashville. Can you believe that she left Tennessee State University just one credit shy of graduation to seize this golden opportunity? Talk about taking a leap of faith. But her journey wasn't all smooth sailing. When she moved to WJZ-TV in Baltimore, things took an unexpected turn. Instead of co-anchoring the coveted 6 p.m. news slot, she was reassigned to host a low-profile local talk show called People Are Talking. It felt like a setback. Imagine being sidelined when you're aiming for the stars. But here's where Oprah's story gets really interesting. Instead of letting this derail her ambitions, she embraced the challenge. She poured her heart into the talk show format, connecting with audiences on a deeper level with her warmth and authenticity. This so-called demotion turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Hosting People Are Talking ignited a passion that she didn't know she had. She discovered she had a knack for engaging with people, drawing out their stories, and touching hearts. This newfound love for talk shows set the stage for her next big move. It wasn't long before she took Chicago by storm with AM Chicago, transforming it from a struggling program into a top-rated sensation. And the rest, as they say, is history. That initial bump in the road led Oprah to create The Oprah Winfrey Show, a groundbreaking program that would become the highest-rated talk show in television history. In 1985, Oprah made her acting debut in The Color Purple, earning an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actress. Despite the film's success, it faced criticism for its portrayal of black men, leading to debates within the black community. Oprah found herself amidst this controversy, navigating the complexities of her dual role as both a media mogul and an actor. Oprah's entrepreneurial flair didn't stop at dominating daytime TV. She took a leap and launched Harpo Productions, flipping her name backward for a bit of fun and branding genius. This move was all about owning her content and building an empire on her own terms. But the real roller coaster started when she unveiled the Oprah Winfrey Network, better known as OWN, in 2011. You'd think slapping Oprah's name on a network would be a surefire recipe for success, right? Well, surprise. OWN stumbled out of the gate with dismal ratings. Critics were buzzing, advertisers were hesitant, and there were whispers that even Oprah couldn't save this sinking ship. The network faced hefty financial losses, leading to significant layoffs and a desperate need for a content overhaul. Behind the scenes, things were even messier. Harpo Productions found itself entangled in legal battles over intellectual property rights. One particularly juicy scandal involved a lawsuit filed by a motivational speaker who claimed that Oprah had infringed on her trademarked phrase, "Own your power." The allegation was that Oprah used this exact phrase across her magazine, TV shows, and events without permission. The lawsuit stirred quite the media frenzy before it was eventually settled quietly out of court. These challenges forced Oprah to make some tough calls. She brought in heavyweight partners like Tyler Perry, whose shows injected much-needed life into OWN's lineup. So, while the world saw the polished surface of Oprah's media domination, few were aware of the backstage drama. The lawsuits, the financial gambles, and the nail-biting moments when everything hung in the balance. Oprah is an iconic figure who has spent decades sharing her personal battles with weight and advocating for self-love and healthy living, and she recently ignited a firestorm of controversy. Remember when she famously pulled out a wagon loaded with 67 pounds of animal fat on her show to represent her weight loss? For years, she was the poster child for perseverance, pushing for sustainable lifestyle changes over quick fixes. So imagine the shockwaves when she openly admitted to using weight loss medications. Yes, the very ones she once dubbed as an easy way out. In her ABC special Shame, Blame, and the Weight Loss Revolution, Oprah revealed that she turned to medications like Ozempic to help her shed pounds. This candid confession caught everyone off guard. Critics and fans couldn't believe that the woman who had long promoted natural weight management was now endorsing pharmaceutical aids. The backlash was swift. Detractors accused her of abandoning her principles and potentially misleading her massive audience by promoting what they saw as a shortcut rather than the hard-earned results of diet and exercise. But Oprah didn't back down. She explained that these medications helped her stop obsessing about food, giving her a sense of freedom she hadn't experienced before. She emphasized that weight issues are complex and deeply personal and sometimes require medical intervention. This unexpected twist not only sparked heated debates about the ethics of celebrity endorsements, but also opened up conversations about the stigma surrounding weight loss treatments. Amid the whirlwind that was 2020, Oprah Winfrey found herself unexpectedly entangled in a wild internet conspiracy that very few saw coming. As the world grappled with unprecedented events, social media lit up with outrageous and completely unfounded rumors that her Florida home had been raided by police police, and that she was arrested for involvement in a trafficking ring. The claims were as shocking as they were baseless, yet they spread like wildfire across various platforms. Imagine waking up to find your name trending worldwide for something that you had absolutely no part in. Oprah swiftly took to Twitter, now X, to shut down the chatter. Quote, "Just got a phone call that my name is trending and being trolled for some awful fake thing. It's not true." Now, let's take a moment to peel back the layers on Oprah's personal life, a subject that's both fascinating and surprisingly under the radar. Did you know that Oprah has been in a committed relationship with Stedman Graham since way back in 1986? That's nearly 4 decades of partnership without a marriage license. They even got engaged in 1992, but here's the kicker: they chose not to walk down the aisle. This unconventional decision has set tongues wagging for years. People have speculated endlessly, some suggesting commitment issues, others whispering about hidden troubles, but Oprah has been refreshingly open about their choice. She believes that not being married has actually strengthened their bond. In her own words, she realized she didn't want the quote sacrifices, the compromises, the day in, day out commitment required to make a marriage work. Instead, she and Stedman have crafted their own version of happily ever after, one that doesn't fit the traditional mold but works perfectly for them. Then there's her decision to not have children, another personal choice that's put her under the microscope. In a society that often pressures women into motherhood, Oprah took a different route. She has candidly shared that she doesn't regret not having kids. Why? Because she understands the immense responsibility that comes with raising a child. During her years on the Oprah Winfrey Show, she met countless guests whose lives were impacted by neglectful or unprepared parents. Those experiences reinforced her belief that motherhood just wasn't her calling. Oprah Winfrey is universally admired for her incredible philanthropy, having donated millions through her foundations and launching the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa. But here's a bombshell you might not have heard about. Back in 2007, this very school was rocked by a shocking scandal. A staff member was accused of serious misconduct involving the students, a nightmare scenario for any institution, let alone one so close to Oprah's heart. Imagine the shockwaves this sent through the tight-knit community. Oprah, who had invested not just money but her soul into creating a safe haven for these girls, was devastated. But instead of hiding behind PR statements or letting others handle the fallout, she took charge in a way that only Oprah can. She flew straight to South Africa, stood before the parents, and addressed the issue head-on. The accused staff member was promptly fired, and Oprah implemented stringent new measures to protect her students' well-being. She overhauled the school's policies, brought in experts to ensure such an incident could never happen again, and provided support to the affected students.